All right, welcome everyone. So excited that you're here today. As you can tell, our topic for today is about cholesterol. And what I would like to say is your speaker, Dr. Akil, is an amazing man, first of all, 75 years old, a septuagenarian who has climbed mountains and summited peaks. He has done 100-mile bike rides, century bike rides, and he's still a practicing physician. He's done that and more. And what he's going to do today is share some of the wealth of knowledge that he has so that we can all become more aware of not only what cholesterol is, but why it gets created in the body and what we can do to prevent it from being bad numbers and increase the opportunity for our cholesterol to be healthy cholesterol. So without further ado, I'm just going to say, welcome, Dr. Taher.
Hello, thank you. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. I hope everyone can see my slides. And today we will be talking about understanding cholesterol. You see, the point is that it is a very confusing topic. It is not only confusing for patients, but it is even more confusing for doctors too. I mean, there are so many things on lipid profile. You have total cholesterol, your LDL cholesterol, your HDL cholesterol, your IDL cholesterol, your VLDL cholesterol, your triglycerides, your LP little a. So I will try to go through some of these tests that your doctor usually orders and simplify it, because there is no general consensus amongst doctors regarding these tests. Some will say that your LDL is the most important, the bad cholesterol. Some will say, no, it's your triglyceride. Some will say that it's a ratio of your triglycerides to your good cholesterol. So this is my attempt to summarize the most important facts so that you, as a patient, can make an informed decision as to how to proceed. So with that, let us look at what is cholesterol. Cholesterol is a fat. It is found in your blood, which is made in the liver, as well as found in foods, but mainly in animal products like meat, eggs, and dairy. There are 100 million people in the US who are suffering from high cholesterol. And equally important is that there are so many of these people who are on statin, medications that lower your cholesterol. So having said that, let me move on to my second slide. What do we need cholesterol? Why do we need cholesterol? You see, cholesterol is in every cell of your body. It plays a vital role in how your body works. It is especially important to your brain, nerves, and skin. Cholesterol is a key part of your cell membrane. It keeps a cell membrane fluid and active. It builds hormones. Your male hormones, testosterone, and your female hormones, estrogen and progesterone, are made from cholesterol. So if you look at this slide, if you look at the molecules, they're pretty similar of the estrogen and the testosterone molecules, which are almost like the cholesterol molecules of the carbon atom, except for the ending with changes. So important that it makes all these hormones, but it also makes vitamin D. Sunlight acts on 7-dehydrocholesterol to make vitamin D3. ergo calciferol, but vitamin D3. This vitamin D3 that you get from the sun is far important than the supplements that you take. It remains in your body longer and it acts in a much better way than your supplement vitamin D. Now, finally, bile salts. Bile salts, it's used to make bile, which helps to digest the fats you eat. And in the bile salts. So bile salts are the major organic solutes in bile and normally function to emulsify the dietary fats and facilitate or help in the absorption of the intestinal absorption. So bile, in fact, is the major route for elimination of cholesterol. So if you have a gallbladder disease, if you have some ducts which are stopping from your bile going into the intestine, then you can get cholesterol, it's stones, gallbladder stones. And these gallbladder stones are made of cholesterol. Major part is cholesterol. So if you have a gallbladder disease, gallstones, these also are because of the gallstones. Now, remember, even if you've got cholecystectomy, your gallbladder is removed, your bile can still go from the liver directly into the intestine. Now, so we go with all these fine things that cholesterol does in the body, but it also contributes to a very important thing if it is very high in your blood. It contributes to cardiovascular disease. And if you have this cholesterol, which is oxidized, can cause atherosclerosis, plaques in your arteries, leading to angina, or if the plaque ruptures, if it is a soft plaque, it ruptures and you get a heart attack. It can also similarly cause strokes because of your arteries in the brains get clogged, claudication, arteries in your legs, so you get muscle pain in your legs, and your kidney also has problems. Now, how does cholesterol get oxidized? Oxidation increases with things like smoking, foods high in trans fats, or in clarified butter like ghee. Ghee is supposed to be 10 times more powerful in creating oxidized cholesterol than other oils. So we have this now. Are there any symptoms? There are no symptoms. Your only symptoms are when you get an angina pain, or you get a heart attack, or you get a stroke. And there are hardly any signs. Only in people who are younger than 50, 55, sometimes you can catch earlier what is called as arcus senilis or corneal arcus. You know, your cornea, the transparent window, you can get opacity starting at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. And this opacity around the cornea can be an early indicator for somebody that may be having very high cholesterol. Similarly, if you have someone who comes around with these sharply demarcated yellowish nodules or deposits around the eye, this is a sign in younger people especially that there is a very high cholesterol in your body. And these are called as xanthelasma. And deposits of these cholesterol can, surgically you can remove these, but it should make you aware that cholesterol may be high. So where does cholesterol come from? Cholesterol is produced in the liver cells. The body makes 1 gram of cholesterol a day. And folks, this is all that your body requires. 40% to 60%, that is almost 50% of ingested cholesterol, outside cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, is absorbed from the small intestine into the circulation. Now, a lot of people turn around, patients and family, and all ask me that, oh, we are not taking any cholesterol, but what about saturated fat? Saturated fat increases cholesterol concentration. 1% of saturated fat causes 20% increase in your bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol. Why? Our liver cells have receptors on them. These receptors take the cholesterol from the blood to be taken to the liver to be broken down. Now, research suggests that if you have too much of saturated fat, it stops the receptors from working, and therefore your cholesterol level builds up. Trans fats, which is banned in America, is chemically hydrogenated vegetable oils so that it becomes solid at room temperature. It increases both your bad cholesterol and decreases your good cholesterol. So saturated fat equivalent to making cholesterol. Okay, so now can cholesterol go by itself? No, all these cholesterol, triglycerides, they have to be attached to a protein to move in the body, in the blood. So these are called the lipoproteins. And the lipoproteins are made of fats and proteins. Now you can have the LDL, the HDL, VLDL, IDL, and chylomicrons. Forget these for the time being. What you have, remember that the low density lipoprotein, you see, they are named according to how dense they are. Proteins are heavy, so they'll be more dense. So low density lipoproteins are bad cholesterol. It contains a lot of cholesterol, very little protein. Therefore, it is called low density lipoprotein. Their job is to deliver cholesterol to the cells where it is needed. HDL is your good cholesterol. Why? Because it contains lots of proteins and very little cholesterol, so high density. They carry cholesterol away from the cells back to the liver, which removes cholesterol from the body. Now you have the VLDL, very low density lipoproteins. They are also bad. They carry triglycerides and cholesterol. You have the intermediate density lipoproteins, which are bad in between the LDL and VLDL. And finally, you have the chylomicrons. They're ultra low density lipoproteins, very dense, high in cholesterol. They carry dietary triglycerides to different parts of the body. But all you have to remember is when you get your lab report, what is I'll explain a little later, but right now, what is my bad cholesterol? What is my good cholesterol? What is my total cholesterol? Now, what are the causes of high cholesterol? Smoking, stress, alcohol, not moving around enough, and finally your diet. Diet is the most important thing, unless you've got genetic factors, which we will talk about. We come to triglycerides. We have now left the cholesterol part. We come to triglycerides. Tri means three. Three fatty acids of saturated or unsaturated fats joined to sugar, a molecule of sugar, which is a glycerol. Now, triglycerides can provide energy to fuel your body. We need triglycerides. We have two supplies, one made from your diet and one made by the liver. When you eat, you consume calories, which are converted into sugars and uses energy. Our body converts any excess calories into triglycerides, which are stored into your fat cells. Later, they're released for energy. Now think about it. If you regularly eat more calories than you burn, especially fatty meals or empty processed carbs like sweets, white bread, white rice constantly, you may have a high triglyceride. In fact, after a heavy, rich, fatty meal, your blood will contain so many triglycerides particles that a blood sample can have a milky tint. What is a normal triglyceride? 150. I've seen patients 1,000, 5,000, And I've seen one patient of mine, 10,000. You know what the blood looks like when you have that high in thousands? Your blood looks like this with a naked eye. This is very high triglycerides, can make your blood look like a cheesy sauce. And trust me, I had a patient who is no more, but I had a patient with 10,000. This person had 10,000 plus triglycerides. Now, causes of triglycerides, we forget about, this is all genetics. Familial hypertriglyceridemia, because of genetics, your triglycerides are very high. Familial, both hyperlipidemia, familial, very high cholesterol, very high triglyceride. So genetics, we are not going to go into it, but it can happen. We are going to go to the secondary causes. And the most important secondary causes of triglycerides are, as you know, a sedentary lifestyle, your diet, unhealthy diet, particularly diets rich in saturated fats and added sugars, and alcohol. Some people may be very sensitive even to small amounts of alcohol, and this can significantly increase the triglyceride levels. Other things are your medical conditions, gout, pregnancy, kidney disease, and medicines like diuretics and steroids or oral estrogen therapy. Okay, so now we go on to very important, extremely important slide. High triglyceride and low good cholesterol. This is bad. I found this combination more so in South Asians, where the BMI, body mass index, is normal, but they carry the fat in the bellies, visceral fat. That causes them to have metabolic syndrome, which is like your insulin resistance, where your body has become resistant to the insulin. You get high blood sugars, high blood pressure, overweight or obesity, and unhealthy fats, very high triglyceride, and very low HDL. So I told you before, think about total cholesterol, think about your bad cholesterol LDL, think about your HDL, and then think about this ratio when the doctor hands you that lab report. What is my ratio? If the ratio is not there, it is very simple. All you have to take your triglycerides, total triglycerides, and divide it by your HDL. And that will give you a ratio. We'll talk about what the ratio, how much the ratio should be. Now, higher the good cholesterol, the better, but not very high. This also we'll talk about it. So right now, we talk about cholesterol, your good cholesterol, your bad cholesterol, your low HDL. So, and triglycerides. So the next slide, when we go, lowering your triglycerides, they're very responsive to changes in diet and lifestyle. So if you maintain a healthy body weight, regular exercise, losing weight, stop taking those saturated fats too much, cut down on your added sugars, drink alcohol in moderation, if at all. Alcohol has got no health benefits. Totally. Period. So if you're drinking alcohol to increase, to sort of help you with your health, forget it. For other reasons, if you're drinking and if you're a social drinker and you're responsibly drinking, go ahead. So we come to the next is your saturated fats. The saturated fats occur so many in your beef, lamb, pork, all animal fats. Beef fat, tallow, lard and cream, cheese, ice cream, coconut, palm oil, all these baked foods. Saturated fats occur naturally in most of the animal sources, including meat and dairy and eggs, as well as oils like coconut and palm oil. For example, if you need about 2,000 calories a day, that many calories, 2000. Not more than 100 of your calories should come from saturated fat if you do not have any problems. That's about only 11 grams of saturated fat per day. If you've got a heart disease, if you've got very high cholesterol, this 11 grams should be 5 to 6 grams. So people turn around and ask me, Doc, what about unsaturated fats? Unsaturated fats are monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat. Now, monounsaturated fats are your olive oil, avocados, nuts, such as almonds, hazelnuts, seeds like pumpkin and sesame seeds. Polyunsaturated are your soybeans, flax seeds, canola oil, walnuts, and even fish. But remember, even fish, which may have the polyunsaturated fats, it also has cholesterol. Every meat has cholesterol. So you're going to be careful and balance it out. And finally, you have, because even olive oil has 13% saturated fat. It is unsaturated, but 13% of olive oil is saturated fat. And finally, omega-3, which is again in fatty fish like your salmon, and body cannot make it. But you can have flax seeds and chia seeds, which will give you enough of your omega-3, which is a healthy balance between omega-3 and omega-6. So these are your monounsaturated, your polyunsaturated. Now we know that a lot of people would turn around and tell me, look, I've got nothing wrong with me. I use a little spray of olive oil. I'm not here to stop you. I'm not a policeman to worry about what you're having. You should know yourself. What are your levels? What are your readings? And how much can you use? When can you use it? Where can you use it? Now, this is LPA little a. LPA little a, again, is a lipoprotein. Why I talk about this is because lately I've come across a lot of people who have this lipoprotein. This lipoprotein little a is a lot like your bad cholesterol LDL, but it is very sticky. So what it does, it goes and sticks into your arteries, especially in your coronary arteries, and forms a plaque, atherosclerosis, and clogs them, so that you can get a heart disease or a stroke at a very young age. Now, LPA little a is made up of lipoprotein, which is similar to your bad cholesterol, but it has two proteins known as ApoB and ApoA. Don't worry about all that. Just remember that a high level of LPA, little a, in the blood has now been identified as a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. It can cause atherosclerosis, heart attacks, strokes, aortic valve disease, because it can stick into the valves, the aortic valve, and heart failure. So if you have little LPA, but we do not test this for a person who comes for a lipid profile. So let's go a bit further. The amount of LPA in your blood is determined by your genes. Levels above 50 are considered high, 30 and below are normal. Now imagine, 2 months back, my cholesterol was not coming down, no matter how hard I tried. So I told my cardiologist, let's do a little LPA little a. Now think about it. 30 is normal, 30 and below. 50 is high. You want to know how much mine was? 364. And so I am at a very high risk of cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, and strokes. Now, the thing is that their ethnic background might make a difference. LP little a levels are found to be lower in some populations, including the Chinese and Japanese, and higher in African Americans. LP little a is not affected by your age and sex. Secondary causes are kidney disease and underactive thyroid. Now, if you have both the statins and PCSK9 drugs, these are cholesterol bursting drugs. They can bring down your cholesterol very fast and they can reduce your bad cholesterol. But what these do is both of these can decrease your bad cholesterol, your statins and your PCSK9. But statins, Lipitor, Zocor, increase the LPA level. Niacin reduces LPA by 15 to 20%. A lot of side effects. When large amounts have to be used, nobody uses it. And finally, you can get an apheresis therapy approved by the FDA if you have recurrent cardiovascular disease, you've got premature heart disease, you've got a strong family history, and with a very high LPA. I am in this category. Am I getting the apheresis done? No. I still believe very strongly that a whole food, plant-based, no salt, oil, or sugar diet is a stone for therapy. Somebody who has got this, somebody who has this LPA little a. Because let me make you understand, why do I say this? You see, when you have a whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, your inner lining of your coronaries or any artery, the endothelium, gets strengthened and it produces nitric oxide or keeps your artery dilated, protects the artery wall, and protects the endothelium. Now, if you've got very high cholesterol, it's a fight between cholesterol and nitric oxide. So if your nitric oxide is good enough, your cholesterol will travel through. Now, there are no double-blind studies done on this, and I'm not saying this is my theory after talking to a lot of cardiologists and other doctors. So I believe that if you have a whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, that can carry you through. But if somebody turns around and says, I've got little LP little a, and I'm going for apheresis, by all means, go ahead. So, very important slide for you in the audience. If you know anybody, because it is not routinely, LPA little a is not routinely measured when you have a cholesterol test. You can request for this test if you have premature cardiovascular disease or there is a premature cardiovascular disease in your family. Meaning somebody who's got a stroke or a heart disease in your family. If you've got a family history of high LPA, that means now I have it. I have to see that my children, my nephews, my nieces should get a test done. If somebody has a familial hypercholesterolemia, that means genetics, get LPA little a done. If you have a calcified aortic valve disease, because of that little LPA, get your LPA little a done. And very high, low density, bad cholesterol, in spite of lifestyle changes and medications, like me. So I got my LP little a done, and it was 360 odd. So remember, this is an important slide for people who would like to get it done. Now, newer treatments for this are being done for LP little a. One is oligonucleotide therapy, and other is a gene silencing treatment. Both of these in 2022 have shown a reduction in LPA levels between 46% and 98%. But however, research is still needed to find out whether treatments that lower the LPA levels help prevent heart disease and strokes. That we don't know for sure. So we go on to other treatments. I talked about the PCSK9 inhibitors. Well, these are cholesterol busting drugs, but they're not currently licensed for lowering Lp(a), even though they can reduce to 20 to 30%. And finally, your lipoprotein apheresis. This is a weekly, bi-weekly treatment like renal dialysis, which can reduce your Lpa levels by 75%. This treatment should only be considered in people with recurrent cardiovascular disease, despite optimal control and other risk factors. So we go on to, so when you get your lab results, what should your results include? Total cholesterol, non-HDL cholesterol, only your LDL. Don't worry about your VLDL and all that. It is shown in the lab reports. Worry about your HDL cholesterol. Worry about your triglycerides. Think about the triglyceride to HDL ratio and the total cholesterol to HDL ratio and triglycerides to HDL ratio. If you don't have it on your lab, you can easily calculate it. Now, your total serum cholesterol should be below 190 for normal people who don't have a problem. But if you have a heart disease problem, then it should be below 170, 160, and your bad cholesterol, which under normal circumstances should be below 100, should be below 70 or below 70 if you have a heart disease, or high cholesterol and high blood pressure or whatever. Your good cholesterol should be in the 55 to 60 for both men and women. Now, here is a recent research which is done. And I did not know this. Previously, it was thought that the higher your good cholesterol, the more protection. So I have got ladies, especially, who have got good cholesterol, HDL in the 90s. But now recent research has said that if your cholesterol is 80, 90, 100, you are not being more protective. In fact, it is detrimental to your health and for your cholesterol. So very high cholesterol, a good cholesterol is not good either. Now, your total cholesterol to HDL ratio should be under 5. So take, for example, your total cholesterol is 200 and your HDL is 40. Then the ratio is 5, but it should be under 5. Your triglycerides and HDL ratio, I think it should be not 2.5, but 2 or under. So, for example, if your triglycerides are 150, normal is up to 150, and HDL is 50, then your ratio is 3. That means you're still lying. So you've got to still control your HDL or your triglycerides or bring up your HDL. I know this is sometimes confusing, but these two ratios are important, very important. What do your triglycerides result mean? It can mean you have a risk of heart disease. You can get diabetes, you have liver disease, and can cause inflammation of the pancreas, pancreatitis. So ideally, your level should be below 150 if you're fasting and below 200 if you're non-fasting. Because what happens is if you eat a big meal, then that triglyceride is carried on by your other lipoproteins, while if your normal triglycerides in your body are carried by others. So just remember, normally you will always have people now saying that, okay, fasting for 10 to 12 hours and your level of triglyceride should be 150 or below. But if have you eaten a big breakfast and gone and done it, then it should be 200 milligrams or below. Okay? Now we go to cholesterol-lowering foods. So this is something, I was very impressed by this. You see, this is a study done by Dr. David Jenkins of the University of Toronto. And this, he called it as a portfolio diet. See, what he said was when you invest in a retirement portfolio, you spread your money across several different kinds of investments. The idea is to maximize your benefits while minimizing your risk, and you keep it in one basket. So what David Jenkins said, that people talk about soy, talk about oat bran, talk about plant nuts, and talk about plant sterols, but nobody has put them together. So he did this study where you get soluble fiber, oats, barley, eggplant, okra, 20 grams, soy protein, tofu, tempeh, soy milk, however you make it, 40 grams, whole almonds, 28 grams, and stenol enriched margarine, 2 grams, which is available, Banacol and Take Control. If you have this in a day, your bad cholesterol is going to be reduced by 25%, while statin drugs like Lipitor and Zocor and Crestor will reduce it by 29%. But here you don't have any side effects. While with it, as if we talk about it, if you use this cholesterol lowering drugs like your statins, you have a lot of side effects. So you will wonder that margarine, yes, margarine, this has been studied. It's a Banacol and Take Control. These are two sterol and stenol which are used. Amazing study. And so a typical day for the person who is on portfolio diet, to breakfast, soy milk, oat bran, cereal, chopped fruit, almonds, oatmeal bread, sterol enriched margarine, and jam. Lunch, soy, cold cuts, oat bran, bean soup, fruit. Dinner, stir-fry vegetables, tofu, fruits, and almonds, and snacks including nuts, non-dairy yogurt, soy milk thickened with Metamucil. So we come to statins and side effects. It is one of the most prescribed drugs in the USA, billions of dollars. It has side effects. You can get muscle pain, sometimes a very severe thing where you get rhabdomyolysis, and you have to get your blood tested for your proteins or muscle proteins, the CK and CPK. It can cause a liver damage. It can cause high blood glucose, weight gain, and memory problems. I had one patient that we worked on and thinking it was Alzheimer's, till we stopped using the statin that he was using, and he came back to normal. And it increases your LP little a. So now new breakthroughs in the war on heart disease. This you people should understand. First is intravascular lithotripsy. I am absolutely against this. What it does is, like in the kidney stones that are burst, this what it does is your heart plaques in your coronary artery, it sort of shaves them off. Not required. Not required. Because your heart plaques are rarely bound to break and cause a clot. So you should not be touching your heart plaques. Now, when you take a whole food plant-based diet, see, these plaques contain calcium. So your calcium score will be high. Your calcium score is 300. But if your calcium score is, say, is 300, after you go on a whole food plant-based diet, your calcium score will go up to 400. Because the plaques which were friable, soft, are now getting hard. They're getting more calcium. So it'll go lower. So but the idea is your calcium score will get high. Similarly, your good cholesterol will go down initially as you are on a whole food plant-based diet, because there is no inflammation now. And so you do not need very high HDLs, good cholesterol. Number 2 are the cholesterol-smashing drugs, the Repatha, which can bring down your cholesterol to single digits. but we talked about it. PCSK9 inhibitors. Biodegradable, this is by injections every 3 to 6 months or every, I think it is given bi-weekly or bi-weekly, yeah. And biodegradable stents are that keep the arteries open long enough for medication and lifestyle changes to take place. I love this. If you got a heart attack and you're getting a stent done, and if it's a biodegradable stent, that means you're free of stent after that, because they will dissolve once your lifestyle changes and medication takes over. And finally, you have the coronary computed tomography and angiography, CCTA, along with Clearly, CLEERLY. This is new. This is for evaluating your plaques which are there, because your angiogram and other things that you do will not show you how hard your plaques are or how soft your plaques are, and they can break and cause you a heart attack. So this Clearly, CLER, is used and FDA approved to use along with this coronary computed tomography, where they can not only evaluate plaques to see the amount of plaques and the type of plaques, because hard plaques are relatively safe compared to soft plaques, which can rupture and cause heart attacks. This is if people want to do it, it is being done in America. It's only been done in the US. It is non-invasive, and it can be, I think people should, if you got chest pain, vague chest pains, don't go in for angiogram and all that. Ask your doctors, of course, but this is the way to start. CCTA Clearly. And so my take-home points for you folks is, if you have a total cholesterol of 150 or below, and LDL, bad cholesterol of 70 and below, there are hardly any chances, very few chances of getting a heart disease. Number 2, LDL, bad cholesterol 100 or less in a normal individual, 70 or less if you've got heart disease. Good cholesterol should be between 45 and 65. Higher levels than this may not give you extra protection and can be harmful. The body makes its own cholesterol, and dietary cholesterol is not necessary. Nearly 50% of ingested cholesterol is absorbed in the blood. Saturated fat increases cholesterol concentrations. 1% will increase bad cholesterol by 20%. And then ratio of TC, total cholesterol, to HDL should be less than 5. Triglycerides to HDL should be less than 2 or lower. Lower, the better. If you have high cholesterol and cannot bring it down, stay on a whole food plant-based no oil diet, as it strengthens the endothelium of your arteries, producing nitric oxide. And the most important one is, most people who take statins, so-called Lipitor, do not need to use them. They're taking for the sausage and biscuit breakfast, your ham and mayonnaise sandwich for lunch, and your pork chops or fried chicken for your dinner. That is why they are taking, so that it can bring down the cholesterol. They are not changing this. With that, I end my presentation and I will stop the share.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Akil. That was so very interesting and informative. And we do have some questions.
Shoot.
So let's start at the top. Jan Carson, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question? I'm going to bring everybody on screen.
Okay. Anyway, let them shoot the questions. As long as they can see me, I'm okay.
Okay, should I go ahead?
Go ahead, Jan.
All right, thank you very much. Wonderful presentation, Dr. Taher. Thank you. And my question is, what are the parameters for early cardiovascular disease? What age is considered early?
I've seen people at 23s and 24s having heart disease. You know, over the period of years, Jan, I've seen the age goes down and
Mm,
you know,
mm.
because I've never seen a diabetic patient when I came to practice in the States who was below the age of 45 or 50.
Mhm.
Now I'm seeing diabetics at the age of 20.
Yeah.
I have seen people at 26 and 27 who have had a heart attack.
Okay. And
But
what is the upper limit? Like, you know, one of your slides said these are the risk factors, and it was a family member or yourself who had a cardiovascular disease at an early age. So I just wondered, is it below 55? Is it?
I think right now, if anybody has, you should be evaluated for a cardiovascular risk profile if you've got a family history of premature or family history of heart disease at the age of 45.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because
Wow.
it's happening. I've seen a lot of patients with 40 to 45 and 50. Lot.
Okay.
So that is the time to at least get a cholesterol lipid level done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. That's helpful. Yeah. My father died of a heart attack at age 55. So he would definitely, definitely meet the
You should do
criteria.
everything within your power and get everything done.
Yes, I have everything done, and thankfully everything is in a good space. So that's
Super.
good.
Super.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Now we have a question from Savitar.
Oh yeah. Hi, Savitar. How are you? I'm sorry I can't see you. I wish I could see my participants, but I am bad at this. Okay.
If Savitar can turn on her camera. Oh, it's
Hi,
Yes.
it's a he, not a she.
I apologize. Thanks.
It's okay. I get that often. That's fine. So first of all, Dr. Akil, thank you so much for such an excellent presentation and talk. Incredibly useful. If you could, I know this meeting is getting recorded, so if you can share the recording, it will be, amazing to share this presentation with friends and family to spread the good word, everything that you've spoken to us about. To share that with family and friends would be so important. So I'd really be grateful if that can be organized.
We will definitely be doing that.
Thank you. I was on this biweekly injection, Repatha, which I took for quite a few weeks after my angioplasty in November 2021. And the frequency was every 2 weeks. And then I read about inclisiran, and I switched to it. And the frequency of the injections went from every 2 weeks to every 6 months. So that is more convenient from a frequency point of view. I just wanted to talk about, ask you a question from an effectiveness point of view. That in your experience, do you believe that inclisiran is superior to Repatha, or is it not? What are your thoughts on one versus the other?
They have the same effect. The only thing is that because it is easier to take every 6 months, then take it bi-weekly. And you will find out from your cholesterol results. What was your last cholesterol result?
I have it. It's in a different unit of conversion from what you look at. I know there are two.
You got millimoles per liter.
Yes, I do. And while we're talking, I'm gonna quickly look it up. But while I'm finding this report, another question is that I seem to be hypertensive, and so I've been on a whole foods, plant-based, no oil diet for the last 18 months. And I think it's been incredibly useful. As you know, I read Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. And I'm very happy to hear that everything that you recommend is completely in line and fully in sync with what Dr. Esselstyn is recommending as well. So that's great on the whole foods plant-based side.
So you see blood pressure is high, right?
Yeah, my blood pressure has been high recently, and I just wanted to ask you, what do you feel I could do to reduce my blood pressure? I know there are multiple contributing factors like stress and diet, but I'm already on a whole foods plant-based no oil diet right now. Is there anything else you recommend?
Salt.
Okay.
Salt should be cut down, or no salt, number one. And number two, irrespective of what you tell me, if you have stress in your life and you have to meet with that through meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, sky breathing, all that should help you.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. And I just looked up my latest cholesterol reading from 2 or 3 days ago. It was 1.77 millimoles per liter.
But 1.77, that means you converted cholesterol levels to millimoles, is multiplied by 38.6.
Right. So 1.77 multiplied by 38.6 is 68.322.
Perfect. You're more than perfect. Because
Okay.
if your cholesterol levels from milligrams per deciliter is equal to, cholesterol, you're millimoles, right?
Millimoles. That's right. Millimoles per liter.
So you're doing fabulous well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sabita. Nice having talked to you. Thank you for attending the talk. And please spread and share this message with others.
Definitely.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question from
Rochelle is here.
Uday. Yes.
Yes.
And these are questions that are in the chat, and
Okay.
they're coming up in order. So let's see. Uday, are you there? Would you like to?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you today.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Dr. Taher. Did I mishear when you said that going on to a whole food plant-based diet actually increases the calcium score?
Yes.
Oh, it does.
Yes. I'll tell you why. You see, the point is that if you are having heart plaques, your coronary arteries, heart plaques, generally speaking, have calcium.
Yeah.
Okay. So say, for example, you go around and do your calcium scan. And your calcium scan shows 400. That is very high. About 300 is high, right?
Yeah.
Now you go on a very strict whole food SOS diet. Now, with that heart plaque, you also have soft plaque in your coronaries. Now that soft plaque is turning into heart plaque and saving you so that it will not break anymore and cause a heart attack.
Okay.
Doing so, when you turns into heart plaque, it calcifies. So your calcium level will be from 400, will go to 450. But you still have heart plaque.
But would not the conventional doctors say that your calcium score has gone up and therefore you're under more danger?
Well, it depends on what. I think clearly would show whether your plaques are hard or your plaques are soft.
Okay. But there's no instance where the plaques actually go away. We have read in some cases where people claim that their plaques have gone away.
See, one thing you must understand. I know Dr. Esselstyn says also that the plaques in this thing will go away. My point to all of you is this. You got a heart plaque in your coronary arteries. If it's a soft plaque, then you should be very careful and get an stents or whatever. You should be extremely careful about whole food SOS diet. Now, if you got these heart plaques, which are there for a long period of time, you are not going to get very unlikely to get a heart attack. So generally speaking, do the clearly, find out where you stand as far as your plaques are concerned.
Okay.
If you find soft plaques, then immediately get attention. If
Okay.
your heart plaques are there, think about one thing. The heart plaques may not become smaller very soon, but what it can do is the moment your endothelial line is becoming better, your coronary with the plaque
Mhm.
is dilating.
Okay.
So your blood is moving,
Okay.
even with the plaque.
Mhm.
And your walls of your arteries are also better now.
Yeah.
So your blood pressure goes down. So don't
Mhm.
worry about it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Awesome. Thank you, Uday. Now we have a question from Fatima.
Okay.
Fatima, would you like to turn on your camera and your microphone? Fatima, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Great. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
I can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Akil. It was fabulous presentation.
Thank you.
I learned a lot, and I have 3 questions.
Mhm.
First is about coconut. You are saying coconut has a lot of saturated fat, but it seems like it's everywhere. People are having coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut water. So is that not good for you?
Mhm. Okay, your first question is coconut oil. You see, coconut oil, palm oil, all these oils are saturated fats. So if there is saturated fat, there is more likely that your cholesterol levels are going to go high. There is no doubt about it. There is no this thing two-way about it. Some people even say that if you want to eat, have a coconut, but don't make it into oil. Because the coconut oil can destroy your endothelial lining of your artery. That's the first one. Now I know that people will, the coconut industry or the dairy industry or that,
Right.
and sponsor the products, but I am not at all inclined that coconut oil and ghee, that clarified butter, both are no in my books.
Okay. Even coconut water? Coconut water?
Coconut water, I'm worried about sweetness,
Okay.
but I am still not this thing quite sure about it, because that is sweet without any pulp, without any fiber.
Okay.
See, when you have a mango, sweet is different. That is fructose also, like your sugar. But that goes along with the pulp, with the this in fiber. So it is a slow increase of blood sugar. While coconut water is a direct hit and it goes up, the sugar.
Okay. So it's a no-no for me. I'm a diabetic.
Of course.
And the second one, what's this LPA small a protein test? How do I get it? Am I the candidate for that? My cholesterol and all is very good. I'm like 150, I think 155.
You're not candidate to that fats, but your husband, my brother, is a candidate.
Oh, okay.
Since I have very high LP little a, he should get it tested for
Okay.
LP. He may not have. My
Yeah.
nephew should get it done. My nieces should get it done. My cousins should get it done.
Akil, is that, it's like I hate to ask you this, but it's like insurance pay for this kind of testing?
If you have what I put in my this thing, that if you have certain criteria of a premature heart disease or a very family history of heart disease, or somebody in your family having a LP little a, then you are entitled. The cardiologist has to do it.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I was a little confused about your, can you explain exactly the ratio that you were talking about, triglyceride to your HDL?
Yeah.
That's
So for example, your triglycerides, for matters of just numbers, okay? it is 150.
Okay.
And your good cholesterol that we talk about is 50.
Mhm.
So your ratio is 3.
Okay.
That ratio should be under 2.
Oh, okay.
So either you increase your good cholesterol from 50 to 60, 65, or you bring down your triglycerides to a lower level.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you. It was a fabulous presentation. I learned a lot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Now Rochelle Wilder has a question.
Oh,
for you.
Rochelle, how are you,
Hi,
Rochelle?
I'm good. It's always wonderful to hear you. Thank you for doing this every month. I have a few questions. I was on a vegan diet and then found all this vegan junk food, which made my cholesterol very high, everything very high. Anyway, my triglycerides when I started eating healthy was 256. And 4 months later, the triglycerides went down to 164, whole food, plant-based, no oil, all that, And so then I'm heading in the right direction. And I started incorporating, I ate a lot of dates and that nice cream with 3 bananas every day. So that nice cream was not nice to my triglycerides because it shot back up to 236. Can like the dried fruit and too much fruit have an impact on your triglycerides?
Your nice cream and all that, definitely. That's whether it is sugar, it may be non-dairy. But in terms of having dates or raisins and bananas and all that, it is okay to have it because of the fiber. But if you think that your triglycerides are going up high, try and stop these for a while and see how it does.
I did. I'm having blood work in 2 weeks. I'm hoping, it's going to go back down.
It will come down to normal. Because see, what is happening is that if you take dates, and I'm not saying you're not doing it, say you take raisins, say you take dates, say you take bananas, your immediate this thing is what? It turns into sugar, but it is used as energy. So if you're going to use that as energy, exercising or working around, it'll all be used up. You're not taking those fatty meals and all that anymore that turns into triglyceride and all that. So I think it is better that you have the sugars when you are going for a walk just before the walk.
Okay. And I'm glad you mentioned the Clearly test.
Oh boy.
It's $1,500. Insurance doesn't pay for it. I know like they inject some kind of dye and your kidneys have to be in good condition. But I keep hearing so much about it. I think I'm going to go ahead and have it. The last thing I wanted to ask you was about tofu, because I know it's 40% fat and I need to lose a lot of weight. So is tofu something I should eat occasionally?
I think you should go ahead and eat tofu. As long as you're not frying it or using oils and all that, it is perfectly all right.
Okay, thank you.
Not at all. Rochelle, it's always a pleasure, my friend, okay? And I will see you soon.
Thank you, Rochelle. And now we have a question from Mira. Mira, would you like to unmute and turn on your video?
Hello, Dr. Taher. This is Ravi calling you. My wife Meera and I are listening to the talk. I just had a couple of questions. One question is about the triglycerides, and you mentioned also about Repatha. So, at one point of time, a cardiologist did suggest that I should consider that PCSK9 or something like that. He suggested that. My question is that something that I should consider? Because my triglycerides and my LDL seem to be stubbornly, like LDL is okay. I mean, triglycerides is okay, but LDL seems to be stubbornly around 100.
And you are a whole food plant-based?
Yes, yes, doctor. We have talked before. I'm Ravi from Indianapolis, Indiana. So
Oh, yes,
I've been on a
yes,
whole food
yes.
plant-based. Yeah,
Yes.
I've been on a whole food plant-based diet since 2016, since my heart attack.
What-
So I have a stent because
Mm.
it was soft plaque, so the doctor put a stent in there. So I've been okay after that, and I've been doing very well. I decided to go off of statin because of my diabetes. My A1C seems to be high. Now my diabetes is very well controlled once I stop the statin. So I think you gave me a good direction on how I can talk to my cardiologist, see if I can stop statin. After I stopped statin, it was okay. The question here is that my LDL seems to be stubbornly around 100.
What is your total
Taking statin
cholesterol?
was lower.
What is your total cholesterol?
Last one was 180,
180. And your HDL?
50.
Okay. So your LDL is how much did you say? 120?
Well, it was 115. LDL is 115.
115.
And my triglycerides, if my memory is right, I'm probably pulling my memory, is about 108 or 110, my triglycerides.
See, now you've got two choices. Okay.
Yeah.
One is if you are going to be very strict on a whole food plant-based SOS diet,
Uh-huh.
no sugar, no oil, no oil or sugar or salt.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to be very strict on it, I would not worry about your LDL being 150.
Okay.
Now, if you're not going to be, for some reason, you have to go to somebody's house, oh, a little spray of oil here, this, that, whatever. But overall, you are 90% you are whole food plant-based SOS diet, but 10% here and there, then go for a patha.
Go for a Repata?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And I think you mentioned that the frequency is once in 6 months.
That is the other medication that has come out, but the ones which I am, Repatha is, I think, every 3 months. And there is one more which I don't remember the name, that is every 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
very interesting. Ravi, I'm very happy to see you, my friend.
Yeah, I went to India. Actually, that trip caused some damage to me because when you go to India, whole food plant-based seems to go through the window because family is not following it. My brother's family and all are not following it. So they use oil in tempering and things like that. I've been telling them, but just
Yeah.
only minimize the consumption of it. But I avoided everything else. And I still managed to keep okay. When I came back, I tested my cholesterol. It had gone up to about 180. And my A1C had shot up to 6.2. I know it'll come back down because my fasting glucose. And also, doctor, the other thing which is I am having hypothyroidism. That is what led to the cholesterol issue, really speaking.
That is also a part. Your underactive thyroid is also causing your cholesterol to go up.
Right. So
Now, my last thing is that to all who are listening, who are still present, please spread and share this message. The more we are together on a monthly I get really encouraged to talk about this. It's my passion, it's my legacy. And so please try and spread the word,
Sure. Actually, I sent it to I have a support group, and in the support group, I sent it to everybody. At least 2 or 3 of them must have signed in because they said they registered. So I'm sure they signed in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay, thank you, Ravi. Now we are going to Shamim. Are you unmute yourself and open your video? There you are.
Mute myself, right? Wonderful.
Yes,
Hi,
yes.
Akil. How are you?
Doing well, Shamim. How are you? Nice to hear.
Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. It was really very informative. I have a question for you. Basically, it says my ratio of HDL and LDL is 2.33. Is that considered normal even though LDL is 133 and HDL is 60? Will icosapent ethyl capsule work for me?
Your LDL is how much?
My LDL is 133.
So that is high.
But my HDL is 57.
Irrespective, your HDL should be under 100. So whether you are taking a medication for it or not taking a medication, we've got to figure out why your LDL is not coming down. That's
Well,
number
I'm
one.
not taking any medication right now, no statin, no medication. My glucose is 91. I am, my blood pressure is always low. I'm very active. So I really don't have any health issues.
Correct.
Nothing, no diabetes, nothing. So
But it
I'm
took,
only concerned about this. So I read somewhere that this icosapent ethyl capsule will work.
what is
for
that?
me.
Sorry, I've not heard about that.
It's ICOSAPENT.
And what is it? What the ingredients?
I don't know about the ingredients. That's why I read about it somewhere that it will work. And I wrote to my doctor and she says, yeah, go ahead and take it.
I mean, I don't know about this, Shamim, so I can't tell you whether to take it or not. But my one main thing is that your HDL should go higher, number one, because up to 65, over 65, 70, there is no, effect. But should go to 65, and your LDL should go below 100. Now, either you are, I don't know for sure, either you got to look at your diet or you have to increase your exercise in terms of building up your HDL. I have no idea. But the idea is that your LDL should come under 100.
My exercise is great. I walk, every other day. I exercise, I do yoga. So I'm on that realm. I have done everything I do. My diet, I really don't diet.
No, Shamim, one thing is there. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that maybe because your LDL mainly is because of your dietary intake. And number two is when you exercise, I agree that you are doing great. But if you exercise, if you're doing it for your cardio, to get your HDL high, then your heart rate should go to 70% of your maximum heart rate.
Okay.
Your maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. And 70% of that you should reach when you're exercising for cardioprotectiveness.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm 75. So 220 minus 75 roughly would be about 140, 145. If I don't reach 70% of that, 110, 107, 106, then I'm doing great for my endorphins and all that. But I'm not doing it cardio. So cardio, I need to get it 70% of my maximum heart rate. That will build up your HDL immediately 10 points or so in 6 months.
Yeah, but my HDL is not bad. It's 57.
I thought you said 50.
No, 57.
So then it's diet, my dear.
Okay.
It's diet.
Okay. Thank you.
No problems.
Thank you, Shamim.
You're
How is
welcome.
Ace doing?
He's doing great.
Okay, thank you. Say hi.
I will.
Does anyone else have any questions for the doctor? Now is your chance to ask. And if not, then I would like for everyone to know that next month's Talk with the Heart Healthy Doc is going to be on your gut microbiome, loving your good bacteria. So we're set for Friday, August 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern, and you'll get an email with the information about it, as well as the recording from today. Now, just had another question pop in, Dr. Akil.
Sure,
from,
sure.
ApoB. It's related to pancreatic cancer risk. Would you like to come on screen and ask your question? If you want to unmute yourself and turn your video on.
I don't know if it's on or I can't see, so I hope it's on.
It's on.
See.
Hi. Thank you,
Hi.
Doctor. That was very informative and absolutely amazing. It's the first time I've heard you talk, and I'm definitely going to sign up for the monthly Zoom sessions. I think it was incredible, and I want my young children to start this immediately so that they don't have issues later on too. So I will get there, but
Thank you so
we've
much.
incorporated something. Yeah. My question's a little bit different, and I don't know if it's related or not. I had a baby recently. I am in my mid-40s, so she wasn't expected. She was a little surprise from heaven. And it was a very traumatic pregnancy, and I nearly passed away with having her, even though it was a scheduled C-section. And they're wondering if it's because I'm at high risk for pancreatic cancer for some reason. We did a blood test, but it was a genetic blood test that they do. And it came up with certain codes that were very high risk in certain things. And I don't know if it's connected to cholesterol or not. I just thought I'd ask you, because I know all that runs through your pancreas, you know, in order to like stabilize your sugars and the diabetes and all of that. So I don't know if it's related at all or not. Would it be?
You see, one thing is, I'm very happy that you came out of all this so well, you know. You look great. But my point is that the pancreas have the beta cells and the alpha cells also. It is one part of the pancreas is responsible for all the sugars and your insulin and all that. And the other part is in the digestive mechanism. So
Yes.
I am not dissing about your test results, what your test results are. In short, what are you trying to ask me? Is this, what was your result of the test? Was it positive?
They didn't do a test in that way. They did a genetic test saying I'm very high risk, but there were a few things that came up. There was melanomas, there was breast cancer, as well as pancreatic cancer. I have had a few melanomas cut out before, but they were always benign. And I have had a few breast cancer things, but they were also benign. But now with the pancreatic thing coming up, I'm just not sure if it is related to cholesterol or not, because I'm trying to do everything I possibly can. But when you spoke about eating the chia seeds and like I do anchovy hearts and things like that, my stomach gets really sore. I do have the symptoms and things like that. We are trying to get in the process of getting me tested. I'm just off medical at the moment because I've had baby and staying at home looking after her and 2 other children. So we are trying to get that resolved. I'm just wondering if, I mean, those are good things I'm supposed to be eating, but when I do, I get severe pain in my stomach every single time. And I'm not sure if it's related to that.
It could be related to the triglycerides, ma'am.
Okay.
If triglycerides are normal, that's okay. If your triglycerides are very high, then there is a possibility of acute pancreatitis, pancreatic disorders. And what you should do is do a serum amylase and lipase. They may have already done that. Enzymes of the pancreas, lipase and amylase.
Okay. I will request that and get that sorted.
I'm sorry, but I think it is more related to the triglycerides rather than the cholesterol.
Okay, then that's great because my cholesterol seemed fine. I don't have the results with me to share, unfortunately, but I was just wondering if that went hand in hand because I'm trying to do everything possible because I'm nursing as well at the moment, just to make sure everybody's healthy.
And you will come to know a lot more when I talk about the gut microbiome, the gut bacteria.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Really be a combination of everything, you know. It's as your gut bacteria is as big as your brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not at all.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and take this time to thank everybody for being here today. This has been really insightful and informative. So grateful that you have been able to provide all of this amazing information, and feel free, anyone, if you have any other questions, to go to Dr. Akil's Facebook page, and all of that will be in the email that you receive when you get the recording, as well as the information about next month. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Dr. Akil, for such a great presentation. We really appreciate all that you're bringing to the presentation here, as well as to the world, sharing your message. And if you have not gotten Dr. Akil's book yet, please go ahead and grab the book. It's an amazing read, and it's totally his journey, as well as a lot of great information, some of which he's sharing with us in his monthly talks. So with that said, Dr. Akil, would you like to say something to close this up here?
I just want to thank everybody who attended. I want you all to share. I want you all to spread this message. I want you all to have lots of questions so that even if I may not be able to answer you, I can look it up and come back next on the next talk and answer you. Okay?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And we will look forward to seeing you and friends at the next Talk with the Heart Healthy Doc in the Doctor's Corner here on Zoom. So thank you once again, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.